The Thing Controller wasn't the only one mad at Duncan. Even Sir Handel was offended by his actions.
That type of behavior is just downright disgraceful,
he said next morning. You should have thought of your passengers, Duncan, Scarlowy said angrily. Oh, Paul, passengers are just nuisances. They're always complaining. Passengers are coal and water. No passengers means no trades. No trades means no railway. Then we'd be off to the scrap heap. Sir Handel shuddered.
Don't talk like that, Scarlowy.
I'm just telling it as it is, Scarlowy said. Thank goodness Rheneas is coming home tomorrow. Perhaps he'll teach you some sense, Duncan. Oh, yeah, Duncan scoffed. And what has he done that's so special? Rheneas saved our railway, Scarlowy said quietly.
How so, Scarlowy?
It was a year before you came, the old engine started. Things were very rocky. Both of us were on our last wheels. I remember the day we got the news. And this was the story Scarlowy told. It was a brisk, late summer's afternoon. Mr. Hugh and the Thing Controller left the station office. They did all the work in those days, including the driver and guard on most runs. I just got off the phone with a plant up north, Mr. Hugh said. They said they have 2 engines for us to have next year. We need to keep up until then. I don't think I have to tell you what will happen if we don't. Both engines gulped. They knew what that meant. For months, the 2 engines had been working hard, with Scarlowy handling the lion's share of the work, and Rheneas acting as the backup. Now Scarlowy was far too worn out.
You've done more than your fair share of hard work, Scarlowy. It's my turn now.
Rheneas was often short of steam, but he always struggled on to his station to rest. That, said Scarlowy earnestly, is most important with passengers. Duncan scoffed. Passengers don't mind stopping at stations. They can get out and stretch their legs. That's what stations are there for. But they don't like it when we stop at wrong places, like viaducts, he finished pointedly.
Never mind, Scarlowy. Please continue with your story, interjected Sir Handel.
Scarlowy started up again. There was one time he didn't stop at a station. It was a few weeks after we got the news. Rheneas made good time up the mountainside with the last trade, reaching the top station just as the clock struck 7. However, as he got ready for a ride home, he felt odd.
By right, Ralph Gay feels funny.
We'll inspect it when we get back to the shed, Mr. Hugh said.
If you say so, sir.
The dry August breeze blew across the mountainside as Rheneas started his way back up the line. The train was very full. There were even passengers in Beatrice, the guard van, and Rheneas struggled to climb into the hills with his heavy load.
Come along, he called to the coaches as they passed through the tunnel.
As they exited, there was a loud whoosh.
Ouch! I've got such a pain,
Rheneas cried. The train came to a stop at the loneliest part of the line. Time passed as the Thing Controller and Mr. Hugh inspected Rheneas. The passengers stood around, some muttering, others looked concerned. Rheneas felt dreadful. At last, the Thing Controller stood up.
You've jammed your side gear, he explained. We've loosened them. You'll be able to run on 1 cylinder. Do you think you can reach the next station? I'll get to the bottom station or burst, Rheneas said determinedly.
The passengers cheered and got quickly back to their seats. Getting all the way back to the bottom station was more than what the Thing Controller had bargained for, but Rheneas was confident. Mr. Hugh sanded the rails, and some passengers gave the train a push to give it a good start.
We're going downhill, so it shouldn't be a hard start,
the Thing Controller explained to them.
I can do it,
Rheneas chuffed as the train jerked into motion. The passengers cheered, but Rheneas heard nothing.
It took all of his effort to continue moving forward.
They struggled into the country halt. The Thing controller begged Rheneas to arrange a bus as they filled up on water, but Rheneas refused.
"What will they say if we were replaced by a bus?" he explained. "There would be no more railway if we can't be relied on."
The train trudged on through the village station and finally into the bottom station. James the Red Engine was most annoyed.
"Yeah, late,"
He snapped, but just then passengers got out and crowded all around Rheneas. He had saved the day.
"I'm very proud of you, Rheneas,"
The Thing controller beamed.
"Your heroic actions are sure to make the local news." "Oh no, sir, they'll think we're a bad railway."
No, they won't. They'll think we're a determined railway with the heart of gold, and will want to come again.
"With our gallant old engine," the Thing controller laughed. "When you're cooled, we'll oil you up and mend your rods. Then you'll be ready for tomorrow." "Was Rheneas ready for tomorrow?" Sir Handel asked Skarloey as he finished.
Always, Skarloey replied. All the engines were silent. Then Duncan spoke up. Thank you for telling me about Rheneas. I guess passengers are important. A little. That was the highest form of apology Duncan could muster. The next morning, all the little engines were crowded around the wharf. Many of the railway's passengers and enthusiasts were there too, with Edward. When Rheneas was lowered onto the rails, the crowd gave a loud cheer, and all the engines whistled.
"This is a very happy day for us. Our little family is reunited after quite a few years. We are proud to have our gallant old engine back amongst our fleet, ready to work as he always is."
Another chorus of whistles and cheers.
"I really feel today that I've truly come home," Rheneas said happily to Skarloey.